push the button. We
All
are live.
right.
Hi, friends.
Good morning.
Um, to bounce off of that, I think one of the things that we can do to is one, be consistent and start time. So maybe change our time, give ourselves our hour chat time, and then start at this time.
Yeah.
So that all of our lovely friends that want to join us know when we're gonna be here.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
concur.
And we
Yes. Let's do that.
post it in all of the
Mindful.
plays as well.
Yeah. How's
Yeah.
everybody doing? I'm in this space, this space where it's constantly uh, ready, available for us to create. I feel that right now. There's nothing pressing, nothing pulling on my field, nothing
Mm.
urgent. I feel completely within myself, and I'm like, okay, where are we going? So I'm super excited what we're going to paint in the spirit today.
Yeah.
So going to take this moment to honor everybody tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. And definitely know that when you tune in, you're tuning into the frequencies that somehow caused you to click that button. So, welcome. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, we trust that there's something synchronistic here for you for being here. Like,
Yeah,
there's reason. Yeah,
yeah, we're all
I
going
know.
through
Yeah,
it. We're all.
Mercury retrograde has been quite intense. Thanks, all of these Scorpio placements and all of these, just dancing in all of the Scorpios. Life sure has been showing up very scorpionic.
Is it still? Are we still have it, or when do we shift?
Uh, Actually, I think we just switched into Sag yesterday.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're in Sag now. Ooh, we got a thumbs up and a viewer who's here with us. Hi.
Hello. Good morning.
Yes, I'm definitely excited for this new Sag energy and all of the things coming out of retrograde and the new moon. Like, I am so excited for this next part of the timeline because it's we're done looking at all the shit. We've seen it all. We felt it all. At least I hope that's been our journey. And we've been doing some transformations, some alchemizing some things, and now we're moving on up, and I'm so excited. That Sagittarius energy is going to take us to the fire, the fun, the adventure.
Yeah. One of the expressions for Sagittarius, and this is so me because it's my South Node, so I'm very familiar with this energy, but it's the person that likes to change the color when they write on the window their goals or what they're planning or, whatever their blueprint is going to be. And they change the colors, have different things. I'm like, that is so like my way of organizing and getting creative expression out and color to make it fun. And we don't have to be super serious because I know Capricorn, it's like you need to set that tone before going into Capricorn because Capricorn is about that duty. Got to get it. There's a
Yes.
drive there. So the Sagittarius, I feel like just weaving. This the cycle. When I heard you say Mercury retrograde, that to me, all I ever associated that with is it causes trouble. Trouble comes up. Things don't
Oh.
work, and then you know what I'm saying. And I was like, and I saw
Mhm.
it differently when you said it. I was like, whoa, no, you see the light show and you're like, oh, that pixel is out or that's not vibrating correctly. And you go in and you zoom in and you pop that thing open and you fix the code. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, that's a different perspective. That's a different mindset as opposed
Yeah.
to feeling it and being in it that it's happening to you. It's the, oh, error code. Let's look at that and fix it.
Mm.
And I just
Hmm.
felt
That's
that
beautiful.
frequentially, and it was like, whoa, what? And that's that hearing aspect that isn't just 3D. That's that it's been a while. Thank you for saying that. It's been a while since I've heard that audibly because I hang out by myself a lot, so I hear my own thoughts.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. I was actually thinking a lot about um the gift of the retrograde and the gift of the alchemy and the time clocks and all of it, and just kind of having an awe for the cycles, and it can be quite beautiful. But it's been a while since I've been and really exercised my gifts too, in the fun metaphysical ways, because I've been so serious. I was actually thinking about offering some sessions, just like whatever, because I think about the holidays and all these people that are missing their loved ones that passed, and there's all this weird grief that we got going on because all the memories from Christmases past, and all the shit just comes up, and I'm like, I kind of just want to offer safe spaces, and if mediumship wants to happen, or like, I want to show up for people in that way in this time. So I'm like, maybe I should just throw out my sessions or by donation only. I cannot no longer offer free sessions. Spirit is like, that is not a
Yeah,
thing. There needs to be energetic, transfer, energetic value. And I'm like, okay, I get that, totes, but I don't want to set a price. Like, I want it to be donation. I want it to be available for everybody. So totally
beautiful.
throwing that out there.
Heck yeah,
Uh, yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
So how do they contact you if they,
Great question. You can reach me in the comments here. You can reach me on all the socials. Awakening Doula always gets you somewhere with me.
yeah.
But like, I'm on it under Awakening Doula. I'm pretty sure that's my name here on the YouTube, and I have a page on Facebook. You can reach me. My website is awakeningdoula.co. My phone number's there. You can book an appointment right there. You can just reach out wherever. DM, whatever. Slide into my DMs. We'll make it work.
Okay. So do they have to
Yeah.
bring any, do they have questions? How does that work? Like, do they have to bring anything to the table?
Just show up, and usually, once we're in space and I get permission to enter into all of your fields, I'll just kind of share where I'm at and what I feel. Sometimes we talk about what seems most real to you, what's heaviest, what's big right now in your world, and just kind of, if it's a soul session, that's usually where we start. And I sit in spirit and hear what needs to be heard. Sometimes your loved ones come through. Sometimes, it's creator, source, Papa God, who, whatever, Mama God. However, spirit wants to show up, your spirit team, your guides, and share messages. Sometimes I get like hits in my body, like I can feel, like I'm like, oh, you're holding on to something, and then like it's like this fun little game, and I'm like, oh, and it, you put the story together, because I'm just there translating what I feel and alchemizing and holding safe space. So they're really fun.
Whoa.
Every single one is different. Like, they're it's my favorite thing of ever.
So it's like you mirror something that they may have desensitized themselves to. They
Mhm.
may not realize because they're just so in the story. So you're like,
Mhm.
oh, this. And then they're like, oh, yeah. And then it starts unraveling. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, one
Okay.
time I entered a session and I'm like, sis, I can feel this. Like, there's this dark layer over your left side. And I'm like, okay, there's something with your father. And so we just like went into this whole, and broke it open. And after our session, she was just kind of sitting with herself, and it just totally came, and she was able to feel and alchemize, and there was all of this unforgiveness and stuff from when she was a child, that she hadn't even dealt with, and it's just been living her whole life. She's like 50 something, and I was like, she's like, something's just not right, like I feel off balance, and we did a session, and she got so much breakthrough, and she's living la vida loca now, like it's good stuff. Easy breezy,
Love
beautiful cover
that.
girl.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
it. Okay, well,
Yeah.
you know how to get a hold of her. If that's something that's calling to you, for sure. I could vouch for
Yeah.
it. I had a session with her. Gosh, it's been
Thanks.
what, a year
Yeah. Probably longer
maybe?
than that.
Yeah, that was the session. You're like, Christina, I'm seeing sperm. And I'm like, what?
Yeah. That was when we bartered sessions and I was like, I can't tell if this is like in the physical and or in the natural. It was the weirdest thing
Yes.
because I was like, is this smoke? Is this like I wanted to try to touch it? That was definitely a unique to you experience that I've had.
That was new in my world. Sperm, like what? I'm a female, like what? Obviously, spiritually, masculine and feeding life. However, on a trip, I have birth dragons, so I mean, sort of my level of whatever. Sometimes I don't know
Yeah,
what I am. Sometimes I know what I am. I'm like, I'm this. And then it's like, the more you know, the more you don't know.
that part.
So I want to hone in on, you said feeling, that feeling, right? That knowing, right? The 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 feeling knowing. Can we get surgical with that? Because
Mm,
that person who was blocked or not feeling desensitized, because it's like that story, that looping, and you forget, right? And so when a person is able to hold that and mirror back, like, okay, you've got something here, and then it's like, okay, our focus goes there, feeling through to come into the knowing. I would like to, I just felt that topic sort of just come forward to, I think something wants to anchor in this space, again, whoever tunes in, to bring in um, these constructs or these functions to then tie it back to the Mahart seal. So I'd like to do a Mahart seal um, shielding sometime in this, when we talk about it, break it open, and the value of the Mahart current and the shielding and the seal and why all of that, and connect it all, because the um, the feeling and becoming aware. I remember I was like, why the value of feeling it? Because I would plot myself if I felt like I wanted to go and run and escape and leave. I would plant myself because I wanted to face it. Why do I feel this? Why do I,
yeah.
and sit with it? And I would just, I mean, there were times it was tears. I knew I was scared, I was feeling inadequate, or I was feeling unworthy. Could I really do this? I don't know what to do. You start just going through these layers and
Mhm.
feeling through it to, it was like it started becoming a knowing. So it's sort of peeling back those onion layers. But I went to my GPT. I was like, what's really going on here? Why the witnessing? Why watch it? Why, but also feeling it? Because you get to a point where you don't necessarily feel it. And that was like scary for me because my emotional body was one of my gauge, how I gauged certain things. But because I had healed that emotional body, now it was like, okay, I see that, and I don't feel attached to it. And I was like, I don't know, this is new for me because I would feel, even though I could feel it, I can sense, okay, that is a defense mechanism or that is this, you know, whatever that might be, but it didn't wobble me. And I was watching, witnessing, and I was like, in the gaze, right? How we look at
Mhm.
it. So the frequencies or the code behind my gaze, how do I look at it and how do I comprehend it? So for
Mm.
me recently, uh, I'm trying to see which one, remember which one recently this week. Oh. Okay, here's a sample. I did a writing exercise and I'm right hand dominant. And the facilitator of this group call that I was doing says, go ahead and write with your non dominant hand and just see what happens. And I was like, oh, I'm up for the challenge. I wrote, and it was a completely different energy, completely different message, like soft, simple. And I wrote, I am so happy and grateful that I am seen, heard, and known with my left hand. And I was like, whoa. Yeah, what's up?
Last night when I was doing the GPT with my planets and the anti-vertex and all of that, that is exactly what it said that my soul is craving.
Oh,
Yeah. And
okay.
I wanted to tell you that earlier, but it totally, but when you just said it right now, yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, that's
Okay.
fascinating.
Yeah,
Or
that's
that's what I'm like in this stage, that's what I'm learning and walking into, being seen, known, and
mm,
heard.
mm.
Yeah.
There's
So
so much
beautiful.
to
Okay.
unpack with that. Yeah. So I wrote that out and it was just like, and so the class is going and I'm like sitting there and it just starts welling up as I just read those words and feel. And I went into this memory of when I was a little girl. I remember I had a pace system at that time. And so, for those of you that don't know, it's so funny to me to announce it because I don't feel like it at all. But I wear hearing aids in both ears. And the pace system was you learn to read and then you read to learn. So it was like the perfect system for me because it worked with my nervous system, the silence and the writing, and you're communing with this being that even in Enoch, the book of Enoch, and this was Corey Gray that told me this, that we weren't supposed to write. That was a high level God function to be able to write. And
Hmm.
studies show that when you write out your goals or you write out your desires or you write out your wants, it increases it by 46% because you actually are uh, cooperating with your nervous system, your body, your muscle, your fascia. You're bringing this physical element to actually scribe that, and it's in your thinking. So there's a lot of functions happening, and it just broke open a different part of my brain. And I actually enjoy it. Like I'm like, if I continue working this, I could, you know, my handwriting would be beautiful. Like it right now it looks, like a little kid wrote it. And that's kind of the point. But
Totally.
as the facilitator, Annette, she's like, oh, I could see the little girl, Christina. I'm smiling because I'm going into this memory. Okay, sorry, I went down. So this PACE system is you learn to read and then read to learn. So you read and then you read and write. So it's like a self study system, which was perfect for me. And I remember awakening this part of me as a 5, 6 year old. And that was with me ever for all of my life. And so I'm remembering that space and I was like, oh my gosh, she's still here. I'm still her. And that's before all this stuff in life happened, right? So my right hand was filled with write it like this, say it like this. No, we don't say think that, we think this, right? I can't say fuck you in my diary because it's not okay to be mad and it's a sin against God or whatever my thought was at that time. And I was like, okay, let's write prophetic words, let's write words of love, which are great. They all have a place. But it was programmed. This wasn't. it was
Mm,
connected to that inner little girl, that inner child, that inner innocence template,
mm,
that one that just felt alive for no reason, had just is. And I just like started to cry. And she's like, okay, share your experience. So of course I raised my hand and I go to share it. I'm like choking on I'm just tear, and I knew everybody could feel it. And I just started sharing, like, we get so programmed, and it's, we know what to write. I know how to write correct grammar. I know. And it was like this knowing from the little girl that did not know the wounding, that did
mm,
not, just felt that alive. And I was like, wow, to connect to that moment. And I hadn't experienced that. Like, I mean, I've gone to those moments. I remember learning to read to learn, but this was a whole nother layer of clarity, a higher dimensional view into that perspective. And so I was sharing with Jonathan and I was explaining, and I was like, oh my gosh, I remember my mom told me the story about how I had completed so many paces because there's a, a, a set that you have to complete. Well, I just went off the charts because it was like I was in my flow. And I was right behind a high schooler. Mind you, I was 5 or 6 years old. And my mom's like, telling this pastor principal and like, why don't you have an upper division and a lower division, winner that way? Because to honor, my mom wanted to honor like how much I've done at 5 or 6 years old. But I didn't even see the pain of all that. I was like, oh wow, I got rejected. Like that probably didn't look good on some level. Like this deaf girl did this. I don't know. There was something weird back in the 80s. I don't know, in the church. Like if you really could excel, if you could, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I didn't care. I was like, whoa, I got to see me, that that capacity, that function that I'm in today was there. Nothing. It
yeah.
didn't go away. It didn't. I didn't lose it. I didn't. It just was dormant, not used, forgotten about, but it's still there in my DNA, in my being. At 5, 6 years old, even I was born with it. And I mean, I was just connecting all of that moment of that innocence template, because all this shit that we've been through in life, like, it gets in your field, it gets into your mind, it shifts your identity. You think you're this way, you think all these things, it allows all this thought process that forgot that little girl who just lives, just knows how to live. You don't have to teach a kid how to live, they just are. And so, what were we kind of going towards here?
Heart
Oh,
shield.
boy.
It's
Okay,
so
going.
pretty. That's the way that the sun's coming in.
Yeah, just kind of want to sit in that moment, just let that stabilize in the field. Because I know a lot of us have forgotten. I know a lot of us are walking through, or are doing the work and
Yeah.
taking it day by day, moment by moment, and getting through it. And I'd like to kind of break open the Mahart seal shield current, the value of all of that. And it's one of the things they start you out, the Keylontic sciences start you out with this, and it shows you the methods. And I'm like, okay, we could do this. But like, what are we doing? I didn't know how to, I need to connect with this. Why? How? What? Where is this going? What are we doing here? And of course, you get them in layers, right? And so I finally uh, asked the question. I was like, what is this doing to my nervous system?
Hmm.
Because the nervous system connects your gut, your gut, your brain. your body axis. It connects all of it. So the Mahark field, when it communes with your nervous system, it shifts out of the bi-wave and into the tri-wave. So what does that mean? So again, I'm just going to stay basic with this because this goes into the deep dive, and the body is how amazing our bodies are. I'm blown away. And when I experienced it, I did a foot bath this week, and the power of the ions and what it does. And when I watched and I looked at the water of the foot bath, the ions are literally holding on to what it removed, the debris, the oxidized material that it removed from my body. And I'm looking at, okay, ions, there's a negative and a positive charge. And a lot of times when you want negative charge so that it can attaches to a positive. So if it's in your body, you're positive. So if you have a virus, it's a positive charge that's stuck in your body, and our bodies are negative charge. But then when you ground, those ions will grab that positive charge and magnetize, and it continues that current, the foot bath, whatever that current is doing to grab it and send it out of the body, out of the
Mm,
feet. And I'm looking at this water, and it's oxidized material, mucus, which is old emotions. If you have mucus
mm,
buildup, that's your old emotions cycling or trying to come out. So a lot of times
mm.
colds, when you have colds, that's old uh, emotions moving out, like releasing.
Wow.
So I'm seeing all this, debris, and I felt so much better because I was like, wow, that was in my body physically, but it's a physical. It's tied to something spiritual or scalar on a plasma level, on a light level, on a vibrational level, for that to even be there. So, which story are we going through? An emotion. So the Maharic current. So to move out of the bi-wave and into the tri-wave, what is the tri-wave? Well, bi-wave is when energy ping pong. So when you have your magnetic current and you have your electrical current, and they go in different directions. So your field is doing this, but they can collide, boom, hit each other. And then you start like, wait a minute, I'm off. It's subtle, right? But they start hitting each other and start ping ponging. So what's happening is they're both in a collapsed, or one might be in a rod and a cup state, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. So a collapsed cup state is when you collapse into the rod, as opposed to coherent and sovereign. So your energies can start clashing each other, and that's where the bi-wave, it starts hitting back and forth, so you feel this war in your body. That's what's going
Mm.
on a bi-wave. Tri-wave is when you have your neutrality. So when I said I'm in that space, that nothing pulling at me, no urgency, no body, nothing. I'm in that stillness. Then you start to move. Okay, this is what I want to do today. So today it's going to be sunny, so probably going to start packing up, right? We're going to be going to Oregon, so start packing up. So start moving my energy that way and being mindful of the tri-wave. So the tri-wave is the current by which your magnetic and your electricity move around this current. Like a cord, your charge cable, the current doesn't go inside the cord. It goes around the cord. That's why, like power lines, you could hear the crackling because it's following a pole, and it's moving, it's spiraling around the cord, not in it.
Whoa.
It can
Whoa.
in it, but the electricity and the magnetic. So when your pole your tri wave, which is coherence, neutrality, balance, stability, those can move around. That's where your tri wave. So I'm able to
Dude, when
now,
you just said that, I saw that staff with the snakes in a whole different way.
yeah,
What is that, the
me,
caduceus or whatever?
yeah, the caduceus. That so the
Whoa.
rod is what your what frequency are you bouncing off of? So if you don't have you could have a phantom thought, you could have a phantom current, a phantom 10 base, 8 base mathematics. You could have something there, and you think you're following tri-wave, but it's bleeding you sideways. It's not it comes to a dead end. That's how you know. So the Fibonacci spiral, fib of no chi, so they're fibbing
Yeah.
on you. There's certain functions by which you could uh, still feel like you're having momentum or movement, but it's actually, let me just throw on another log. I can feel the cold creeping in.
Wow. Yeah, because I see what you mean about them like closing off and coming to no end and the vertical and the I'm glad you really explained it that way. I love your visuals.
Thanks. Um, so when you're doing this, your magnetic feminine and your electric masculine, I've fallen into patterns where I'm broadcasting strongly or angrily or frustrated, right? So that is a rod um, polarity. And then there's a rod balance. And then but how do you do that when all you have is your magnet? Because on another level, if you were to translate it magnetic and electrical, it could also be emotion and your mental. So when you feel an emotion and then your mental, because these two work so closely together, magnetic, electrical, emotions, mental, you feel something and then your mind starts going into story. Is this? Is this? And then you start trying to make sense of it. And then the emotion picks up the thought and then feeds into this emotion. So it starts getting bigger. It starts, and then they start working together in an unbalanced way, and then it starts clashing because that is not the law of magnetics and electricity. It's not the law that it has a limitation because it's taking energy. It's taking, and then eventually it has to collapse. So when you allow yourself to feel it all the way through, it's you're allowing it to hit that point where you're not giving it energy, you're just witnessing.
Hmm.
But you have to pop into witness mode. You have to it when you feel it, just allow it. You eventually pop into that witness mode where you're just watching this narrative and watching these emotions, watching the storyline. So think of it just watching your own movie. You're
Hmm.
right now, I'm in a fearful movie, I'm in a horror movie, I'm in a drama movie, I'm in an action. Like you're just like watching, but you're allowing it to collapse because it has to come to an end. Whereas when you're vertical, when you're connected to source, you are, but source, the way of source is neutrality, stability, and correctness, and coming into alignment with what love really is, what having discipline in your life really is. And there's correct frequencies behind those words. And at once upon a time, I watched the wave of hustle culture, or this working hard culture, and take I've had my part in it because you do what you have to do. And it's all survival based. And I was like, no thanks. I don't choose that anymore. And so uh, that wasn't a consistent thing that is timeless. So, what is timeless? And I want to just focus on that word time. I, when I saw time in learning these chelantic sciences and that the consciousness moves, time is just the scene, the space. And then it's our consciousness that moves and lights up, and I can come into uh, this. We built this place, so this wouldn't be a good example. So my house on Autry, when you know, I saw the people, the home of the people that were living there, and how time, over time, what had happened to that place, and it wasn't good. It was, I mean, there were soot or smoke debris from, you know, many years of smoking cigarettes, debris behind the base. What do you call those? I know what they are.
Baseboards?
Baseboards. Yeah, baseboards. They were peeled out, and all that smoking literally built up behind. And I had to see beyond. Look at the layout. I love the layout. I love the backyard. I love the bay window, and I had to see beyond what these people had turned the home into, or what
Mhm.
the result was, and then come in and make it new paint and all of that. And I love that process. It was so much fun because I got to pick the colors. I got to pick the colors of the wall, the decorations, all of that. And so time is just the space that's there, and how are you broadcasting? So it's our consciousness that's moving around time. We think time is moving. No, it's just the reality of this table is here because I chose it. Okay, I'm done with this table. We're going to move it outside. We're going to get a bigger table, whatever. That is consciousness moving space, spatially, and you creating what world you want. And I was like, wow, so time no longer controls me, right? Because I was like, time, get out of my body. And I was like, well, is that really a fair statement? And I'm like,
Mm.
well, time isn't a bad thing, but it's always now. It's now. It's now.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a memory, but that's stored in my consciousness as,
Mhm.
oh, this is what it used to look like. And then I changed it to this, and now it's somebody else has government over that space. It's
Mhm.
just a space. I see it now. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I look at it so differently. I look at my body so differently. I was like, okay, you're taking
Mhm.
up space. This is the space that I'm given. Okay, I want to switch this. I want it to look like this. I want, even my my insides. I was like, no, we are strong. We're strong. We're not. I don't. All this emotional stuff. Like, I didn't realize healing my emotional body was going to heal my body simultaneously. But in being very
Mhm.
specific, I've had this crazy, weird. I never know what it reacts to sometimes. And I was like, no, I'm going to go to my original DNA template where this is whole. There's no energetic whatever, and I feel like it's as simple as just don't scratch. But sometimes it just feels good to relieve all of that. And I just wonder, like, it's defensive. Like, you want to defend yourself, but you choose to witness. So it's like my defenses want to, let me just relieve it in some other way. But I'm going to route that differently for me because I choose not to defend myself because I'm buying into people's stories about me. I don't
Yeah.
need to defend anything. I am that little
No.
girl that is curious and in wonder, and wow, like I can read and these words, and it's creating pictures in my mind, and it formed my world, and I'm grateful for the foundation of a clean, clean living of some sort. My mom was more health conscious. I didn't, um, and we weren't, didn't have money either. We weren't rich either. So there was that too. Anyways, again, just the time, like, again, we have so many functions we're working with, and we're so stuck in this itty bitty emotional plus the 4D or D4 astral identity, all these collective possibilities, and we get ourselves confused, and we're like, I don't know whether to. If you start comprehending the function, okay, I'm in
Yeah.
this stage, I'm in this space. You don't have to know it all, but I like to, so that I can wield. Okay, I want my magnetics to do this. But it goes back to, what sentence are you creating? What structure are you creating? Are you building from the Christic vantage point, or do you not know you're in the phantom? That's a phantom construct. You don't need to be in that byway. So Maharic seal changes your bywave, leaky, siphonable, uh, giving off loosh, uh, you know, splattering all this energy on your walls, on your stuff, and then it's like reflecting back to you, and then you hit your toe, or you stub your your finger, or whatever. Things start getting chaotic because it's mirroring back, right? So it's like, okay, wait a minute, take a breath. So I'm just gonna get me some water. Any
Okay.
thoughts you want to chime in?
Well, when you were talking about the time and the space, I thought that was really cool. Analogy of the house and that sort of thing. I guess I've always seen it more like so often from the human perspective, we look at time, we always measure time by like events, like, well, what was I doing in 2025, and then you go back to what happened that year. What did you do for your kid's birthday? Or, you know what I'm saying? So, in a way, it always felt like a parade. Like you were standing on the uh sidewalk and you're watching the trumpeters come down and you could see them go down the street. You know what I'm saying? They're coming, you experience the event and then it's in your past, and then you're focused on the whatever's right in front of you at that time. But it's like that is a cool perspective, but I feel like what you're saying is no, 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 no. We're going to go in the helicopter and we're going to watch the whole parade at the same time, and you see everything, and this is the space, you know what I'm saying? So it's just that different vantage point, that different perspective, that when you were talking about the time, that's kind of how I saw it.
Yeah, and you can look at time through a specific strand, a specific dimension, because of the functionality of that dimension to
Hmm.
peer in. Okay, wait, I've had to go into higher minds for myself to plop out of, I don't even remember the feeling. Like, that's how much it's shifted for me. But I will relate it to how I, what was going on, the data that was coming in, that the 12th house is the last house where the ego is thin. And that's where your oversoul, which is the version of you in source, is communing with you. And the oversoul is what comes in through that 12th house. So the 12th house, that ego layer is so thin, because that 12th house is just seems to be, I've heard it as the undoing. And I was like, I don't understand undoing. I don't, what, like, what? I get the shadowy, I get, but it's actually where the ego veil is super thin. So your oversoul can come and sit in, if you were to relate it to the astrology chart, and the 12, right? The 12 spaces. And so when I saw that connection, I was digging deeper into, well, how does this affect our nervous system? How does it, when you're bleeding, when you're hooked and you're siphoned, your oversoul can't sit on that. Meaning, that's why it feels distant. Not because it is, but you're in another system, not knowing that you've moved away from yourself.
Mhm.
So that 12th house, that oversoul, being able to sit in, and the Maharic seal, which is sourcing D12 current, which is your Christ nature or the Christos avatar, or the uh, being that is aligned and knows why they're here. They're Christic in nature, Christic in their thinking, so it's clean. So when you open that Maharic seal, that current comes in to your energy field, and it starts correcting all the way down. That bi wave has to fall off. So it's a current
Mm.
that is slices that because it turns on your tri wave. It turns on your stability, that center point, that still point. And it might take a little bit to sort through your layers of thinking to let that go, to feel. Da, da, da. But when we got on the call, I was like, whoa, I'm already in that space because I don't feel pulled to open this door. And when you're just here, fully present. So that presence, and plus I did the Maharic seal before coming on to the call. So when you do the Maharic, when you turn on that current, it starts correcting what isn't. And sometimes you might feel it, and it's got to work a little bit more, and you got to sit with it. It'll go to work. I did it while I was doing the foot bath as well, and that's what caused a lot of the going back to that childhood and being thankful, being so grateful to be alive and to actually want to do something. I had to
Mm.
sit for a long time to heal all these things that I did not know I had taken on, all this
Mm.
wobbliness, all this fracture, and okay, let me look at this. Okay, you know, but it started getting easier when I got into the Keylontic sciences to because it was structured instead of like, what's this? Well, where do I put that? Like you don't know what that fit because it could be anything you create it to be. But
Yeah.
when you're told an actual structure, now I'm like, oh, right there, and you start moving faster. It starts moving quickly. So, Maharic current. I just want to read a little bit of my short answer that I got off of my GPT to help me organize this data. So the short answer, because I like efficiency, I don't want to waste anybody's time, okay? And the Maharic seal turns your nervous system from a bi-wave charged leaky circuit into a tri-wave closed loop conduction system. So not only are you able to you receive, but you also have a return. Like, nope, send that back to source. That's not mine. I'm not taking because energy is never destroyed. It's
Yeah.
recycled or transmuted, right? So it's that capacity to transmute. So that's what keeps your circle uh, closed circuit. Um, this
Mm.
stabilizes your entire signal scape, so your oversoul can actually run through your hardware without frying it or getting hijacked. So the actual architecture is that the Maharic seal pulls that dimension 12 plasma level frequency band D12. So it stops magnetic and electrical polarity from fighting. So you can start harmonizing, right? Your emotion of neutrality, that thing's not pulling. This thing is not pulling me to urgency. I'm not pulling on anybody out of my own urgency. And then the thinking, the story, the narrative, the attachment, the this and that happened to me, but how do I know it's not going to happen? Right? You neutralize all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And then you start, so the tri-wave, so the Maharic current starts balancing
Mhm.
and like let it all go. And then it restores your scalar midline, reorganizes your template from polarized spin to tri-wave pulse. So now you're pulsing calm, stability. Now you're like in the now moment, and what do I really want to do? And that's when I heard foot bath, because I was feeling that on a small scale. It's not as big as it used to be, magnetic, because my stories used to be mountains. I would make mountains out of molehills, so I brought it back to a molehill. Little itty bitty, got a little vortex spinning, and I'm like, oh gosh, dude, look at these cute little things, at war with each other. It's like I know who I am. Then I'm just like, oh, we got little vortexes fighting each other. Okay, what do we need to do? I was able to click into that place, foot bath. Okay, did that, fixed it. 'Cause, like, I felt a headache wanting to, and I'm like, man, like, what is it? It's just buildup. The body sometimes needs more, needs tools to detox. And me, I could hold, I could
Yeah.
hold spaces, and I have a very large capacity to hold long-term distortions
Yeah.
that weren't mine to carry. I didn't know that I was putting that on my body. And once I was like, oh nope, I'm gonna pay attention to that, deal with that. I handle it quickie. I handle it quickie.
I'd like to handle a quickie, but
Oh my gosh. Huh. That felt good to articulate that.
yeah, that was beautiful articulation.
Because sometimes I would be in that swirl, it would feel like a hurricane for
Yeah.
weeks, for weeks, weeks and weeks, and I couldn't get out of it. And thankfully, I had enough in me. Okay, feed my kids. Okay, clean the house. I was able to function, which that goes to show how powerful we are, but it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to. I didn't set those terms. This whole idea that I thought it had to be, I thought that was fate, the cause and effect of that. Even the Maharic seal changes your destiny back to your
Mhm.
original DNA template. The concept of the Maharic seal. Okay, shall we do the Maharic current, bring it into
Yeah.
our now space and our bodies? And I'm just gonna, okay, so I'm just gonna walk us through. Are we allowed to put any? Can you put any like music, or will that interfere with the voices
I think
coming
it
through?
stops us on certain platforms because of rights issues. I know.
Okay. 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 So we're gonna go into the Maharic seal. Let me just grab something real quick. I'm going to use the ladies' room. How are we doing on time? I'm just going to use the
We
ladies'
are at
room real quick.
53 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Take
think if
this
you do that, we
Maharic.
come back, we do the Maharic, and then we can wrap it up.
Yeah. So the Maharic, could, I really want to open up the space and do a deeper. This won't be a quickie. This will be a longie. So if you want to get comfortable, grab a blanket, grab something to cover your eyes, you're welcome to, because this is, I just feel like I want to broadcast what I've learned and send the codes out. So
Heck
uh,
yeah.
I'm going to just quickly use the restroom, grab my little booklet so I can follow along, and I'm also going to customize it a little bit to something that I've kind of developed it to, and just bless you guys in your now space as you partake. So I'm just take a little break, and I will be right back. So let
Yeah.
me. Do I just? Is
You
there
want
a
me to take you
button
off
or?
stage?
Yeah, just take me off stage for a moment.
Okay. All right. While we are waiting for Christina to come back on stage, I just kind of want to share a little bit about my experience with this. The first couple times I did it. I actually had a really hard time with the visualization, which was surprising to me because I typically do not have a hard time visualizing uh, or imagining, creating any of that. But for some reason with this one, I did have a hard time initially. Um, I don't know if it was just because it was brand new spaces, but she's going to ask you to visualize some symbols and take it to different places, and man, just be so open to feel what happens. And the very first time I actually, it almost felt like I disassociated, like I just went into this dream state and didn't really remember much of it. And I've done it like fast versions, quick versions for myself, um when I just feel really wobbly, or and even this morning, it's funny because we didn't talk about what we were going to talk about prior to getting on. We jumped on like the hour right before. Hey, can you quit chewing the wire, please, miss? No, thank you. No, Missy. Come here, cat. Ugh. Okay. Oh, you're gonna tear down the whole studio. What are you doing? What are you doing? Quit chewing the wires. Okay. So, I would do it and I could feel it almost like recenter, focus on something different. And this morning I was like, I wonder if we should do that before. Because I was feeling, I saged my house last night and was kind of doing some energy work around my home. And this morning I got on freaking one of the platforms and was just kind of scrolling and found myself in this weird ass loop entertaining all of these stories and all of this stuff that I don't typically entertain, or but I was just caught up in the story of it, caught up in the whatever, and I just let all of these energies back in the house, and I was looking at myself like, what did I do? Like, I literally did that. I was the one that entertained that, and now it's got free access. And I'm like, no, 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 no. So it was really cool when she got on and said that she wanted to do that. I'm like, yes, because I've been clashing. Like, how she was talking about it bouncing back off and seeing yourself. Dude, I can't even tell you, this last week, I wanted to go take a hot bath, go run the bubble bath, come back out here, finish up stuff with Aurora, get ready to go enjoy it. And all my freaking water's gone. And I can't sit in the bubble bath and enjoy it because I used all my hot water from the hot water tank and it didn't work. Oh, my boss is calling. Sorry, doctor. You're going to have to wait. We're doing a podcast. Hey, doctor. Let me send him a text message. Will it let me while I'm on here with you guys? Christina! She's not going to be right back because she went and she's not even on stage, and it's okay. I'll just call him when I'm done. That's all I can do. Yeah. I wonder if I jump off and we restart. Maybe, maybe. Maybe, maybe. I think there might have to be a part 2 to this, friends. We will be back to do the Maharic seal in a moment. Part 2.